They gave me about a minute to speak, and I was trying to figure out, and I was looking at all the wonderful companies and trying to figure out how I can combine all these wonderful companies. And I'll give you my 30-second pitch about me and my firm, and then I'll tell you how all of this is combined with all these companies. So my name is Barry Schindler. I am a partner in Greenberg Traurig in the New Jersey office. Greenberg, we always like to say, is 2,000 lawyers, but the proud part of Greenberg is that we have an office in Israel. We proudly display that office in our business cards around the world. And we actually say, and we've had the office for a number of years now, and we actually say, and we do pitches around the world, that actually our Israel office is one of our hearts of really the firm. And we really, as me being a Zionist, gives me real pride to be able to say that. That being said, how do all these companies have anything to do with each other? I'll talk about what I'm good at is patent law. And basically in patent law, we have what's called technical problem, technical solution. So whenever someone comes to you, the first question you ask them about their invention is, okay, what was the technical problem and what's the technical solution? And if you look at these 5 companies, they all really fit that mode, and they all really, answer that question. So what do we have? We have one company who's container IoT, definitely technical problem of containers, a solution on how to basically make sure that you know where the containers are. We have a company that deals with focused photons, and that is really a problem with tumors, and there's a lot of what I'll say conventional stuff out there, and this company has done amazing stuff in being able to really locate tumors. We have a company that is really building what they call, and I think is right, is what they term reliable customers' experiences, and it's really on a SAP platform that they're really doing wonderful things. Again, a technical problem with customers and technical solution. And finally, of course, all I have to say is we have a company that's blockchain. You never have to say anything more because their company is blockchain. And I always laugh because everybody, we have in the U.S., if you've heard about a company that changed from ICE-T to blockchain and their stock went up 50%. But this company is really doing real, good blockchain work, and I'm one of these that believe that blockchain will change the world. We have another company that really is using, with regard to messaging, is doing amazing stuff with bots and giving a really good customer experience in that, and that's another area that is changing the world. And finally, we have a company that's completely different, but again, it's a technical problem, technical solution. As a parent that went through with 3 kids that had to find jobs after they graduated because we didn't want them to move home, and they've done an amazing job of being able to find and have take this decentralized system and be able to, and centralize and be able to have kids find jobs. That being said, I will now introduce, which company first? Gino, all yours. And that's it for the lawyer. You won't have to hear me again. Thank you, everyone.
Please make your way to the breakout sessions. They have already begun. There will be lots of time for networking when the sessions are over. Please start walking.
Who's operating? You. Open the PPT, please, not the PDF. Thanks. Super. So thank you, everybody, and I welcome you. I invite you to join me in a very, very exciting, turbulent, super sexy market. The market of shipping containers. Well, big boxes, valuable cargo, which are actually the veins of global economy. There's $6 trillion worth of cargo traveling in those every year, 100 million container trips per year. Huge market. Nobody knows what's going on. What's going on with my container? Did someone touch my cargo? Will it arrive on time? No one knows the full story. This is a car manufacturing plant in Guangzhou, China. Imagine the implications of the bolt of the engine of the car not arriving on time. And imagine the implications to the plant manager who usually gets fired because this is a critical, critical supply chain. But the problem is not of the cargo owner by itself. It's a problem of the entire logistics chain. Shipping companies, freight forwarders, insurance, customs, homeland security. Homeland security. They are all blind. And that blindness costs them huge amount of just unfathomable numbers, of billions upon billions that are wasted on inefficient logistics, inefficient security, customs blindness, you name it. One number that I always say, 96% of cargo entering US soil, as an example, is not even checked. All because of blindness. We're Logino, that's short for Logistic Innovation, and we're here to end shipping container blindness with the Internet of Things. In a world of complex, costly shipping container IoT solutions, we're disrupting the market with a smart container fleet, meaning we give the customers just what they need, the data, at a marginal cost with no headache. How do we do that? Using military technology previously unseen in the commercial sector, we developed this brain, small device that attaches to any standard shipping container around the world through a standard installation location, and presto changeo, makes it smart, gives it a brain, eyes, and ears. Coupled with simple but super smart logistics analytics software, we're able to give, for the first time, just-in-time, real just-in-time for shipping containers. We're running on top of the SAP Cloud Platform, proud partners of SAP who are also here. And I'm going to talk in length in a following session about how exactly we joined forces together. But the key decision factor for me in choosing SAP was their 70% market share presence, 70% market presence in the area of logistics. No other company achieves that. So our first solution caters to the cargo owners, to the shippers, and it's changing the way we do tracking, because until now, every tracking is gateway-based or geofence-based. I mean, the container has been gating in an area and then gating out. But the problem is you don't know what happens in between. And not to say that the information that you have right now, which is usually manual based on type paper that people key in systems, not accurate enough. So we're changing that to a constant, real-time matching between a forecasted route that we predetermine from standard shipping documents and the real-time information that we get from the container and the vessel. And therefore, you can know in real time, coupled with really nice AI, you can know automatically in real time which of your shipments is okay and which of your shipments has a problem. The first solution of Logino. But our roadmap looks even more exciting with Cyber Seal, a replacement of the physical seal of the container with an electronic software certificate. Black box on every container. Imagine the implications on insurance. Augmented reality on containers for ports and terminals. Scaleless weight measurement. If you're in logistics, you know that's a big thing now. Same hardware. We'll know that as well. Patent pending. And of course, the predictive schedule analytics software that I presented before. The partnership with SAP is strategic, and it's based on mutual completion. Because if we say today that data is the new oil, we can look at 3 levels of refinement of that data. Raw data turns to business analytics, and business analytics turns to business processes. The difference between analytics and processes is analytics is taking that raw data, answering very simple questions externally, such as our initial product. How do I make sure that 100% of my shipments are on time? But when you go to business processes, you actually tie in those decisions into your business processes, meaning, okay, so what happens if a shipment is not on time? If it's too, make a rule, if it's too late, you might want to create a replacement shipment that will travel by air. And the logistics manager would just get an email with a green button saying, I approve, and that's it. Okay, this is business processes, and it takes two types of companies to handle both types of data. I mean, mining the data, which is what we do, and then creating the small applications, you really need a very agile, very inventive company to do that. But to work on business processes, to change a process of a big organization, you need a company such as SAP. Our business model is scalable in that way. We have developed the best, most cost-effective smart container solution, and it goes on and on for container fleets until we create the Internet of Logistics. 20 seconds. It's patent protected. Team is pioneers, are pioneers of shipping and technology. Industry recognition. Thank you very much. We invite you to think outside the container. Thank you, Thanks.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Next, we're going to have Sagi from HIL. Please come on up.
Can you go back one or two? Thanks. Hi, my name is Sagi. I'm CEO of HIL Applied Medical. HIL is a medical technology company based right here in Jerusalem. We've been with our crowd for 3 years and 2 rounds, and hopefully more to go. For those of you who still don't know HIL for whatever reason, I'm going to spend the first 3 minutes introducing what we do and who we are and why it matters. And then for those of you who do know us, the last few minutes will be more about updates and what's new. So in one sentence, what we do is we use high-intensity lasers to accelerate protons, which are subatomic particles, to treat cancer. It's called proton beam therapy. Proton beam therapy is the most advanced form of radiation therapy that exists. And it's so advanced because it is very focused. So as you can see here, with traditional X-ray radiation therapy, you, like a shotgun, you radiate everything, including the tumor. With our proton beam, you irradiate almost only the tumor, very precisely, very accurately, which reduces side effects, complications, etc. And radiation therapy, by the way, is the most common tool in the fight against cancer. In general, about 2/3 of all cancer patients worldwide receive radiation therapy, so it matters. Now, proton beam therapy is nothing new. It's been around for 30 years, tens of thousands of patients treated all over the world. The whole ecosystem is in existence, regulatory, FDA clearances, very favorable insurance reimbursement, clinical indications, and huge demand from everyone who matters, from patients, from hospitals, from physicians. Could benefit about 1 million people every year and generate a $30 to $40 billion industry worldwide. And still today, it's largely unavailable. So fewer than 5% of eligible patients who could benefit from this important therapy, actually have access to it. You can see the demand-supply gap here, like in the US. We have 25 of these facilities today. We need more than 600. In China, they have 2, which is ridiculous. They need more than 1,000. In Israel, we have 0. And why is that? Why is that huge supply-demand gap? It's because of size and cost of these facilities. So proton therapy today relies on technology from World War II, very heavy proton accelerators. Think about CERN. That's the medical version of CERN. An accelerator you see in the picture. Too far. Yeah, there you go. The accelerator you see in the picture, number 1 over there, weighs 200 tons. To put this in perspective, a jumbo jet, 747, weighs 150 tons. So you have 200 tons of just an accelerator sitting in the basement of a hospital. And that's before we talk about the delivery system. This is not liking me. The delivery system that takes the proton beam to the patient, etc. And that's what we're here to solve. We're here to solve the access problem. We want to make proton therapy widely available to every medium-sized hospital and every eligible patient. And we do that by reducing this and replacing it with something that's way more compact and less expensive. This is just a little bit of a crowded slide about the money side of it. So these are all the vendors that sell single-room proton therapy solutions today. As a hospital, you'd pay between 20 and 40 million on equipment, another 10 million on room and software and infrastructure. So total up to $45 million for one treatment room of proton therapy. And we can bring that cost down to below 12 or $14 million. When you go below that range, it becomes a profit center to a hospital within 3 to 4 years. So the ROI is the same ROI as any other capital equipment. Think CTs, MRIs, etc. The ROI for capital equipment is about 3 to 4 years. And that's where proton therapy needs to be in order to be widely adopted. And that's what we aim to do. How we do it is, of course, by means of technology. This is what our system is going to look like. You see the laser on the right, the proton accelerator in the center. It's huggable. It's about this size. It weighs 200 kilos, not 200 tons. We have a little mock-up here at the doctor's office of the future. You're welcome to come see it. And then the delivery system. You see the numbers, less than half the size, a quarter of the volume. That reduces construction costs, shielding costs, and about a third of the price or less. The heart of what we do is, as I said, laser-enabled and nanotech-induced proton acceleration. Not going to get into technology. I will tell you it came out of the Hebrew University. We have quite a few patents on this technology already. About 3 dozen submitted, about half of them granted, including the US, China, Japan, Israel, everywhere that matters. This is going a little bit into the updates now. So about a year ago, we received a strategic investment from IBA. IBA is the #1 company in proton therapy. They were the first to bring this to market almost 30 years ago. They still have more than 50% worldwide market share, which is very unusual. They made a strategic investment in us, and we also have a co-commercialization agreement with them. Thales is another strategic partnership that was signed just last month. Thales is a $17 billion conglomerate French company. They do about 50% military technology, 50% civilian, and they're the best people for high-intensity lasers, the kind that we use to accelerate protons. So they're a very important partner for us. We now have 2 R&D centers, one right here in Jerusalem, and the other one in Reno, Nevada, in the US. And that's based on an acquisition we made a little over a year ago. Our only direct competitor was a company called Nanolabs. We acquired them, and now we have a second R&D center based on this acquisition in the US. So the goal is to run as quickly as we can and get to market as quickly as possible. Now bear in mind, it's proton acceleration, it's particle accelerations, okay? It's not an app, so it takes time. We think we can be in the market in about 3 years, first sales in about 3 years. And we already have hospitals lining up to be our first paying beta customers. So some very nice names, Thomas Jefferson University in the US, Asuta hospitals here in Israel. And that is right on time. Thank you very much.
Okay, and now let's have Daniel from Aplango.
So hi guys, thank you for being at my presentation. We're going to talk about how to make big bucks out of contact centers using big data. So, how does this work? Okay. So what Aplango does is to use artificial intelligence, or BI if you'd like, with a big data engine to improve productivity for contact center activities. this is a market which you may not be familiar with, but it's been optimized to death, if you'd like, and it has reached the natural capability of optimization. But nobody has ever been doing this through big data. Now, the idea behind the Plango, the philosophy really, and the vision, is that when you manage a large group of people, think of a 10,000 people contact center or a inside sales group. Usually you measure, you rank your people, and at the end of a period, say at the end of a quarter, at the end of a year, you would typically let go of the bottom 5% performers and replace them with another 5%, which frankly, they're new. We're not prepared. Most of the time, they have no clue. So over time, you're not actually improving anything in your contact center. What we say is look at things differently. Look at the top 10% and try to understand how they did things. Try to reconstruct what is the magic, how they were successful, and teach everybody else. This way, over time, this is continuous improvement, right? You can improve the performance of your contact center, of your team of people, time over time, and finally win. So this is obviously to the benefits of everybody, first of all of the employees, but also of the customers, which is us. When we call a contact centers, we usually are not happy customer. We want the person there to be successful and solve our problem as quickly as possible. And this is what we try to teach people through big data. Of course, it has a big impact also on cost and profits. Now, the state of the art today is that everybody is doing this kind of analysis on logs from phone calls, which tends to be bulky and not very granular. They can divide calls. As you know, they will tell you when you call a contact center, they will tell you dial 1 for sales, dial 2 for support, but that's pretty much the level of resolution that they're managing right now. What a Plango, and I want to make you an example. Yeah, this did not come out right. But anyway, this is about setting an appointment when you call your medical insurance. So setting an appointment for a doctor. On the side of a contact center, it's a very different task if you're setting up an appointment, say, for a simple blood test or a family doctor, or if you are required to set up an appointment for a specialist. A specialist is sometimes a challenging task. Now, this is different as a way of process from the point of view of a contact center, but specialist to specialist, I would expect people to perform the same. Well, they don't. People are people, so everyone will react differently. But what we are able to do at this level of detail, that is when we are very precise in defining the activity, we are able to find out who of the operator, who of the agents are actually performing and who are not. And we try to learn from the stars and teach everybody else to the benefit of everybody. So it's, as I was saying, this is a big data application. It's not intrusive. The nice thing is that it is exhaustive, so we can monitor everything that happens. We pick our data and we analyze it, usually from CRM. We are a partner of Salesforce, which is obviously the largest and most famous and most successful CRM in the market right now. But it is also about creating what we call comparing apples to apples. So we try to define some very precise microgroups where comparison stands, and then comes our business intelligence. Our chief scientists have developed algorithms which are, in a way, able to understand what is a good benchmark when there is no benchmark available, and I will make you an example in the next couple of slides, and then understand out of that benchmark, out of that norm, how people are aside or afar from that norm, which is the good way, which is what we call the best practices. And the result is represented graphically in a very much more granular way. So imagine that each and every one of those little squares will be a microgroup doing a specific activity. So in that environment, you are actually comparing apples to apples, and you can compare among people fairly and learn from the good ones. Now, one of our largest success is Fastweb. Fastweb is a telecom operator based in Milan, Italy. It's an over $2 billion company with 2.5 million subscribers and 4,000 people in their contact center. Just their contact center operation is a 48 million euro or $55 million operation a year. Imagine that, 1 million people calling them every month for something. It can be request for information, I want a discount, there is no line, I have no internet, whatever, you name it. Now, This is an example. I don't know if you can see it from there, but basically this is the record of what has been going on a very, very delicate kind of case that they manage. It's when you call Fastweb saying, hey, Telecom Italia is giving me a discount. If you don't match it, I'm leaving. So it's a very delicate point. You want to keep the customer and give away the smallest discount you can. So it requires some specific people with specific skill to take care of it. And now they also have another directive, which is no call goes unattended. And so what happens is that when Milan, which is in charge of those kind of calls, overflows, those calls were going to the cheap offshore contact center in Albania. And you can see the peaks, which were completely matching. Now, the green calls are the ones which are being attended. The red ones are the handovers, so are the return calls coming from Tirana. So we analyzed this, we found the root cause analysis of the problem, and this is what is happening after only 9 months. There is completely no relationship between the two charts. Whenever Tirana takes care of it, they take care of it. The number of handovers have been reduced by 25% over a year. The number of calls has been increased by 180% over a year, and this is because of the precise handling of the activities of handovers that we've been able to do. And they claim this is equal to about a $5 million a year saving for them. Thank you. I have 2 seconds.
That was very well timed. All right, let's welcome Kirk from Wave.
Yep. Hi, everybody. Great to be here. I want to talk to you a little bit about Wave and what we're doing. We're headquartered in Toronto. We're about 175 people, and we're very passionate about small business. And this is about what we would refer to as sort of 0 to 9 employee, $2 million of revenue or less type of businesses. A lot of people use the term SMB, but actually when you look at the definition, it's any company between 0 and 500 employees. And let's be honest, a 4-person shop is very different than a 300-person operation. And so we think that that's way too broad. This is about small business owners, and we're passionate about making them more successful. There's conservatively about 450 million small businesses globally. In North America, most people aren't aware that 0 to 9 employee business makes up about 95% of the business population in the US. And there's about 33 million of them in North America, and about 400,000 of them get started every month. So a lot of people believe that QuickBooks is the dominant market leader. And while it is when small business owners decide and make a conscious decision that they want accounting software, if you look up their latest results, they'd have probably between 10 and 11 million subscribers. And so when you see the population globally, it's much larger than that. There's a lot of greenfield in this space. Small businesses fail at a very high rate. About 25% of them will not make it through year 1. And when you ask them why that is, they cite cash flow issues. And so when you dig deeper on that, most often they're using Word docs, Excel, shoeboxes to run their small businesses. And so they need better financial software, and we aim to bridge that gap. Our value proposition is very different than QuickBooks or Xeros of the world, et cetera. We actually give them free accounting and invoicing software, and then we make our money by embedding financial services products right within the software. We have hundreds of thousands of small businesses who are active on the platform every month, and we've now moved almost $1.5 billion through the platform through our own financial services products. In fact, the World Economic Forum wrote about Wave in a report that was done last year, talking about how the banks are being disintermediated from their customers via platforms that are beginning to embed financial services products right within them. You look no further than us or Square or what SoFi is doing in the US on loans, et cetera, and now going all the way to the bank account to know that this is happening. And platforms are getting much more robust at embedding financial services products in competition with banks. But going after this small business market has traditionally been very, very difficult for 3 reasons. One is when you look at the average cost of acquisition that a bank pays to attract a small business customer, it's about $1,000. And when you put in high churn rates, I told you that 25% of them will go out of business in year 1, you get a low lifetime value, and so it's very, very difficult to make that value equation work in the small business sector. The difference that Wave's had is that in January, this past, which ended yesterday, obviously, we would have signed up about 81,000 businesses on the platform in January alone. And 85% of those businesses are coming to us through organic, unpaid channels. So think of SEO, app stores, et cetera, as being the key driver here. You can see that we generate about 60% of our signups out of North America and 40% through the rest of world. As an example, 7% in the UK, and we've never stepped foot in the UK or done any paid marketing in that area. And so that opportunity to give away the software for free, to generate a relationship with that small business owner, and then monetize them in other ways is proving successful. Not only do we have our own world-class sort of top of funnel in terms of our ability to get signups ourselves, but we've also partnered with 2 brands to bring our software right into their ecosystem. So RBC, the 11th largest bank in the world, has embedded Wave right within their online banking environment for small business customers. And also, we've done a partnership with ADP, the largest payroll provider in the US that has about 575,000 small businesses on their platform. And you can see Wave data, Wave financial data brought right up onto the dashboard of the ADP software. Sorry, there's a slide missing on this version. Anyways, one of the advantages of being a financial platform like this is we have about 600 million financial transactions now in our database. And so the opportunity is to bring more machine learning capabilities into the environment and use that rich data to do 2 very important things. One is to make the lives of small business owners better by auto-categorization, by auto-reconciliation, all of that kind of stuff. No small business owner wants to be doing bookkeeping. And so our goal is to make that as invisible as possible through automation. And then the second is obviously from a business benefit perspective of using that data to properly risk score our customers to offer better loans, better credit card processing, et cetera, based on the rich data that we've got in our ecosystem. When you think about a small business owner going to a bank to get a loan, the bank will ask them for printed versions of their balance sheet or their income statement. Actually, we have that in real time in our database to be able to do and run ourselves. And so the final slide is about where does this take us moving forward? And that is the question of how do we not just look historically for small business owners about what's happening in their business, which is what accounting has traditionally been, but begin to use this data for the opportunity to say, what does your future cash flow look like? How can you be running your business better? How can we benchmark you against the other 15,000 photographers in the LA area that are using our system so that we can bring the power of that data to small business owners and make for a successful business ourselves? Thanks very much.
Thank you, Kirk. Now please welcome David from Tamobox.
Hi, everyone. My name is David, and we are Tamobox. I think we've all established one thing, and everybody agrees that customer service sucks. It sucks because for years we were locked into our vendors, our software providers, right? You can move a bank, you can move an insurer, but today we have mobile. We can move banks, insurers. I can move from my cable company to Netflix. So companies have been noticing. And it's become a huge, huge problem. In fact, it's a $1.6 trillion problem. And that's huge. That's what companies lose per year because poor customer service. That's what companies lose. So they've noticed and they're taking some measures, like phones don't work anymore. nobody wants to wait for Comcast for 30 minutes. So they're moving us to chats. Now, chats are great, right? We have 4 or 5 messaging apps on our mobile phone. We have WhatsApp. We have Facebook Messenger. And that way, we can reach them, and they can reach us. So problem solved, right? We've even seen some vendors like Zendesk and Salesforce add chat to their platform. But the problem is, it still sucks, because now the agent has 10 times more tickets to handle in that period. We've forgotten the most important factor, and that's the human factor. And that's where Tomabox comes in. We've developed a platform that helps agents solve issues faster and sell more. We use artificial intelligence to go through those chats in real time so we can help the agent solve the issue. Now, make no mistake, even in the nascent era of bots, 90% of issues are handled by human. So where does that take the human? We have to help them provide you a better service. How do we do that? We've developed this. It's the world's first serverless AI platform. Now, what does that mean? We take data, customer data, and we train the machine to be able to provide answers in real time to that agent. But further than that, we use reinforcement learning to make sure that at the end of the day, those recommendations turned out to be good. Let's look at a typical banking situation. You're all chatting with your banks. So a young rep gets this question: what's my credit card limit? How should he know? So our system, based on previous conversation, would recommend an answer. The suggested reply, your cap is 10K. Okay, maybe that was easy. But the plot thickens, because the next question is, I don't think that's too much. And now the system is contextually thinking, well, almost thinking, what does this guy want? Why does he want to max out his card? So we're looking outside the system and see where that customer has browsed. Turned out he was looking for student loans somewhere. So we can provide that suggestion as a sales tip to the customer agent. There's no way he could have gotten that data from anywhere else in real time. Now that's value. And make no mistake, these are not predefined answers. These are answers that are generated in real time by our AI platform. In fact, I think we've hit on the head of the most daunting challenges in contact centers. One is speed. You want to get out of there quickly as possible. Second, you want to get some knowledgeable answers. You don't want to be thrown around or escalated to the shift manager. And third, which is most important, you want it personal. You want your provider to know you. You don't care about the rest. And that's exactly what we did. And if you look at our KPIs, it takes us a split second to generate a recommendation. That means algorithms are great, but you need to know how to scale your platform. And what happens is we're able to reduce issue resolutions by 50%. That's a huge, huge saving. And we can support upsell and increase for about 30 to 40%. And by the way, as we speak here, we're crunching 100,000 messages per hour right now. Now, this is all great, but couldn't be done without the great team that we have. My co-founder, Baruchi Arlev, who's the math guy, and the AI. Baruchi, say hi. And Lior, his previous company, Mytopia, sold to 888, one of the best architectures in Israel. And we'd like to urge you to come to our booth, number 41. We are Tomabox. I'm David, and we help the world understand customers. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Now welcoming the last company for this session, JJ from Way Up.
So, hey, I'm JJ, co-founder of Way Up. Way Up is the leading digital platform to connect early career candidates and For us, that really means students and recent grads, with employers in an authentic way. So let's talk about recruiting. Here's what we've been seeing over the past few years since we started the company. I'm going to tell you a bit about that, going to tell you a bit about who's on the platform, and then we'll end with a little bit more about the platform itself and some screenshots. So this is a bit of a funny picture, but it's meant to represent on the left side you have the candidate, and on the right side you have the employer. Over the past few years, there has been an undeniable shift in the way that employers and candidates talk to each other. And it's not a good one. Early career candidates are lonely. They're intimidated. They're broke. In the US alone, student debt is the second biggest source of debt. And they're also really, really confused. Here's some real quotes from real users on the site, some of which came in from the past few weeks. Every entry-level job that I see requires 10 years of experience. And I'm sure many of you can remember from your own job searches seeing jobs like that. All the websites I've found are for people with work experience. So how am I supposed to stand out? When I hear this quote, I think of platforms like a LinkedIn, where imagine you're 19 years old and you don't have any work experience. What are you putting on that profile? And finally, I literally have no one who I can trust to get advice from. This is a quote that is really near and dear to me, where I originally went to college to become a diplomat and then changed my mind to become an engineer. Both of my parents were in insurance. I had no one to ask about either of those things and whether I was making any right decisions at all. And on the employer side, they are just as much at a loss for what to do. So here are some quotes, again, all from real employers over the past 3.5 years who we work with. They don't check email talking about early career candidates. They don't use the same social networks, and they don't even believe what I say. And this speaks to the huge communication disconnect, lack of trust, and lack of authenticity between employers and candidates. I care about quality and diversity, but I can only afford to recruit from the top 20 schools. We talk about diversity in the US and at Way Up a lot, but diversity means more than just ethnicity and gender, but background, where you're from, economic background. Finally, 2 out of 3 seniors won't attend a career fair this year. So where the hell are they? And what's so funny about this is employers hate career fairs and so do candidates. So why does everyone spend so much time on them? That's why we started Way Up. So who's on Way Up? Because the bread and butter of any marketplace is who's actually on it. Proud to say we have over 4 million candidates all across the United States, fortunately not in Israel yet. And we add 35,000 new candidates every single week. And I'm really proud to say that we have an extremely diverse candidate pool on Way Up. 30% are underrepresented minorities, which we define as African American, Hispanic, or Native American. 2/3 are female. Over half of them are studying STEM or business. And they come from over 6,600 campuses nationwide. And I bet many of you didn't even know there were that many schools in the US. And who's hiring on the employer side? We work with thousands of companies, from tiny SBs or SMBs to huge multinational enterprises. But the key thing to note here is the platform doesn't just work for companies that are old and stodgy and need a brand refresh to reach millennials. We also work with companies with really sexy brands, like Apple, who we're really excited to be partnering with. So let me tell you a bit about the Way Up platform itself. We like to think of it as having 3 pieces. Reach, which is the job platform, Recruit, which is candidate sourcing, and finally Engage, which is employer branding. So starting with the job platform, when a user signs up for Way Up, the very first thing they have to do is fill out a full profile, and you can't see jobs until you do. We get a ton of information about them that we use to make them look good. And we collect some of the basics, like work experience if you have, education. But we take it a bit farther and get things you don't normally see, like leadership, volunteer, videos about you. And then even more, Instagram if you're a photographer, GitHub, that's my GitHub up there if you're an engineer. We use that information to show you a beautiful, completely personalized feed of jobs using machine learning and AI. And it's such a different and better experience, whether on web, on Android, on iOS, than your typical white page of blue links of jobs. Next up is recruit. So not only did I just show you how candidates can find employers, employers can find candidates. If any of you have ever used LinkedIn Recruiter, this is kind of similar, but for early career professionals. And here you have an example of a recruiter searching for computer science majors, looking for candidates who are interested in cybersecurity. And then with one click, you can message them, and that message will reach candidates via email, text, Facebook Messenger, whatever their preferred method of communication is. And finally, engage. It doesn't matter how great your job ad is or how many people you get in front of if they don't know who you are. 1 in 3 candidates who does not know enough about a company they see a job ad for will not apply. So we use our platform not only to write content, but even more importantly, distribute important branded content about our employers to our entire user base so they know how special our employers are and makes them a lot more likely to apply. So I'm very, very excited about the team I'm working with. My co-founder and I are from Google and McKinsey, and over the past year, we've hired an amazing executive team, CMO, VP sales, engineering, product, and ops from all these companies. As I know very well, being in the HR space, a company is nothing without its team, and it's a huge pleasure to work with them and learn from them. And so with that, again, I'm JJ from WayUp. You can reach both of us at founders@wayup.com, or if you just want to reach me, jj@wayup.com. I know some of you are needing to hire, so if you need to hire early career professionals in the US, you know who to talk to, and thank you very much.